Going into my 2018 season, I've got all my cameras out. I'm actually going into the season with not very much to hunt. I didn't have a target buck yet. The first week of October, this big old buck shows up. I mean, he looks like just a 300-pound hoss. He's got split common threes. He's got some good mass, great size to him, and you can just tell he's an older buck. This property that I'm hunting, it's a great property. It's not a huge parcel, it's a smaller property, but it butts up to a property that has a big thicket in it. It's easy access, and it's on the bottom side of this bedding. This thicket being just over this hill, it's a perfect situation. It's easy access without being seen, and I can get in there and blind call. I can put that black rack together, and I know that if them bucks are interested and they do react, they have to come in to shooting distance before they know what's gonna happen. So I get pictures of him a few times. He starts daylighting. I know I got a cold front coming in. I got winds coming out of the northwest. It's a red moon, and it's my time to go in. I give it a few minutes to let everything settle down. I know I still got a good northwest wind. My wind's blowing this way and my deer are this way. That gives them a good crosswind, so where they feel comfortable coming into me. I get my black rack and I'm ready to make some noise. Now, when I'm making noise with this black rack, I'm gonna turn sideways here and I'm rattling back this way to try to direct that noise this way. In order to make that buck, if he's bedded over here, he's wanting to use the crosswind coming to me. That puts him right in my target zone without putting him downwind, but also makes him feel comfortable coming in with a crosswind. This time of year, I don't really expect him to come running in like he might on October 31st, but I know it's gonna gain his attention. It just may take a little longer. I get a small buck come in. And a lot of people might think this small buck is no big deal, don't want to shoot him, he's not what I'm looking after. But there's a lot more relevance to this little buck than what one might think. I look at it this way. Well, that little buck that you just walked through there, that's a set of tarsal glands that you just drug through that property. Now that big old buck that's 80 to 100 yards downwind, that's one more sense to make him feel a little bit more comfortable about coming in. And in reality, I got a live decoy right here in front of me. Immediately he comes in, he's licking his lips, he's really looking around, he starts to calm down, he starts feeding around, and eventually he just beds down on the ground. I did use my extinguisher to make a couple bleats and a couple grunts just to hopefully attract some other deer that may be in the area. And sure enough, I look up the hill to the left and there he stands, probably 70 yards from me, and he's every bit of the size that I thought he was. All he's doing is just standing there watching. He feeds off a couple branches. I'm gonna draw his attention. Because of the direction he's headed, he's got the crosswind and he's gonna end up right downwind of me. And that's the last thing I want. So I take my grunt tube, I run it down to a bleat, and I curl it around the tree, and I bleat a couple times. And just a couple soft bleats, enough for him to hear, and hopefully to throw that direction off to where he wants to come my direction and not go down into my wind. The rattling, the bleats, and the grunts have definitely pulled his attention, but he's an old mature buck. He's gonna be smart. He's moving slow, he's checking the wind, he's smelling, he's doing everything he can to ensure his safety. So I know at this point, it's a matter of patience and waiting him out. He slowly worked his way down, and eventually, when he cut down about 20 yards in front of me, he cut to the right and gave me a perfect broadside shot.
Yeah, baby. I just smoked a big one.
Covered in blood, dog. You guess? Oh, baby. See him? See him? He's a hog. Yeah. The key to success on hunting this deer, you see, I rattled this small buck in. And when you rattle that small buck in, you might think that's just a small buck, but he's more than that. Because you have that big buck that's 80, 90 yards downwind. He's not gonna come running in like that little buck because he's got a lot more maturity and a lot more intelligence. Well, now he's heard that rack bust together. He knows there's 2 bucks down there. And now that little 2-year-old that you think is no big deal, that's a set of tarsal glands you're running through that property. Using my black rack and extinguisher in a way that I could direct the noise from him, it helped place him in front of me and not downwind. Sometimes that patience will do a little bit more than getting up and rattling again. I believe in the past, I've probably let a little buck come through and I think, it's just a little buck, and he walks on by. And what I don't realize is, now at 50 yards, stands my buck watching me stand up in the tree and rattle. So as you can see in this hunt, a little extra patience paid off.